Welcome to this edition of Thought to Action, presented by the Herb London Center for Policy Research. I'm Chris Cordani. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to us, and share these videos. To enjoy sneak previews of our videos, exclusive content, and more special programming, join our Patreon page, patreon.com/thoughttoaction. We even have an Ask Us Anything session. Check out our Teespring store, link in description, or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Getter, and our website, that is, londоncenter.org. This is a very special edition, the second in what I want to call, or I'd like to call it, our Culture Wars Roundtable series, where we at the London Center for Policy Research delve into and break down top cultural issues, top political issues, with people who have been a part of and affected our culture through their own lifetimes and endeavors. With me, our president, London Center for Policy Research President, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer, Jenny Mathias of the Bell Stars and many charitable efforts, and Cherie Curry, formerly of the Runaways, solo artist, and chainsaw sculpture extraordinaire. We hear the term culture war, and while many might easily dismiss it, the truth is culture has become political, and politics has ingrained itself in culture and those looking to establish a liberal world order. Yes, we heard the words. They're in public. They're looking to take advantage. It has to do with language, control of entertainment and media establishments, as well as what gets more eyeballs on social media. We're up against quite a bit. Absolutely. Tony, let's start with you. Talk about some of the things we've been up against over the last many years.
So I think the best way to summarize it is that truth is not welcome if you have a feeling or thought that may be harmed by something that is not perfect. And to your point, I think the left has been able to dominate language. And every time they talk about something, it's always to benefit you. It's not about us. It's not about the governance. We're simply here to tell you what's best for you. And I think we'll all kind of go through this whole concept of the World Economic Forum. You will own nothing and you will be happy. And that is the premise on which many of the cultural awakenings I see being based. And the how they do that, in my judgment, is they create conditions for chaos and conflict. We all are children of the 70s and 80s. I grew up, I was in high school in Lisbon, Portugal, dancing wildly to all the music and all the wild stuff, bartending at 14. You know, I was a wild child. And we all, I think, came through a time when being wild was accepted and you were who you were. And everybody everybody was like that. Now, unless you are some sort of a special category that the left wants to use you to present you as someone who needs to be protected, and they want to protect you, or you don't have this quality and therefore you can't be this wokeism. It's all about trying to create separation and discontent. And I think that's what's at the heart of a lot of it. So that's a lot to try to throw out there, but I think that's a basis for what we're faced with right now, is this idea that somehow if you don't comply with whatever the issue is of the day, then you're not a good person, and therefore you will be shunned away. And that's the way I see a lot of the things going on.
They used to make fun of Puritans.
I agree.
They used to make fun of historical Puritans for all that. And the fact is, they've become the pearl-clutching, blue-haired old ladies of our time. The other thing is, it used to be they were slick about it. It used to be the media would pretend it was unbiased and try to sneak their little barbs in here every once in a while. It used to be that that leadership would say, no, we're trying to do something for you. We're going to. They'd sneak their agendas in there, but now it's blatant. Now we have people meeting at the World Economic Forum telling you that they're going to track your carbon footprint and they want to ration your energy. They're talking about similarities to a Chinese style social credit system. That's what we're seeing right now. Cherie, Jenny, what do you think about all this?
Well, but all those things that you were saying, yeah, we see all that, but we see all, they say all that, and we see all that. But since many of us have woken up, and everyone's waking up by the second. It's not even by the day these days; it's by the second. Another one that observes what their narrative is, and their narrative is, the information they're trying to put out to us is for us, but not them. So you've got them going down to the Geneva Convention in goodness knows how many aeroplanes and this, that, and they're talking about the carbon footprint. Everyone's laughing here in the UK. But what are you talking about? You're talking about the same stuff that you do, and you do it in abundance. So how can you be talking to us about a carbon, footprint? And so it's just one rule for them and one rule for us, and everybody's waking up to that. And hence the reason why you see Sri Lanka, and you see the Dutch, and now the Germans, and the government's collapsing because they're not doing that. They themselves are not doing what they're asking us to do. So that's what I see.
How dare us, right?
How dare us?
Dare us.
You will be happy. Oh, that's that. And by the way, where did that guy come from? He looks like he's just walked out of a Star Wars movie.
Who's
Clash
that?
Royale. Yeah. Where did he come from?
I was thinking.
Know?
I was thinking Bond movie. Yeah, I was thinking definitely.
No, but the thing is, 5 years ago, I'd never seen this guy. So where did he come from?
He's been the.
That's why I had to get up, because I just bought these two films and called The Climate Hustle.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And Climate Hustle 2.
Okay.
And let me tell you something. The sequel, and I love the sequel because I love Kevin Sorbo, but the first one is all the statistics of what a bunch of, can I say shit?
Why not?
I would.
Yeah.
What a bunch
It's
of
appropriate.
what a bunch of bullshit this whole global warming thing is. And that, again, it's all, there's global warming, and it's a big lie. They talk about the big lie with our, with Trump losing it's a big lie that, trust me, if you guys have seen 2000 Mules, it's not a big lie.
No.
Our election was tampered. It was perfect because they all the mail-in ballots. I basically will put mine in the safe. I will never use it. But the thing is how they managed to steal this election, and they did steal the election through all the drop boxes, which thank God now they're making them illegal. Because I also think that they're getting so sick of Biden because it's such an embarrassment. Truly, that administration, I call it the Rocky Horror Picture Show come to life. I'm sorry. It's the most embarrassing.
Biden would look good in high heels. I think he'd look good. Joe Biden would look good in high heels. I think better.
And you know what? I think I wouldn't put it past him, hearing all the stories about him and his family, and even his daughter's diary, where she said he showered. She's become highly sexualized at a very young age. He was showering with his little daughter. Who does that? The guy is a sick
up to
guy.
11. Yeah,
absolutely.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. It's
Sheree, by the way, before you go on, one of the things I want to throw in here, because we just met, the audience doesn't know, but we just met. I actually have a degree in environmental studies, and I've seen firsthand the fraud from 1986 when I got my degree, during the time I was studying up to that point, and how everything even from the academic perspective is taught to be out of perspective. It's always taught to present facts in such a way to try to achieve a specific outcome that's not related to what the facts show. And that's what you're talking about.
Right.
So we have an entire system which has been set up to reinforce this fake science by the government funding it. The government funds it. And when the government funds this, it all goes to these left-wing causes, which then push this message. And that's why you have kids believing somehow now that CO2 is a plant food. CO2 makes up a fraction of a percent, and then we contribute a fraction of a percent of that. It's not anything more than what we can. As a matter of fact, there's studies showing that the Sahara Desert, with increased CO2 content, can actually become green again. So all the they completely ignore the benefits.
This movie talks about just that. And also, how they're saying that the polar bears are going extinct. We have more polar bears than we've ever had in history.
Exactly.
It's an absolute, utter lie. And the Bilderberg group. When you look at the Bilderberg group, again, with Agenda 21 and all this, they knew it was going to take 30 years at least. Once Clinton came into office, that's when Clinton fast-tracked what George H.W. Bush ushered in the New World Order, and then Bill Clinton ended up really, making it into a law where this was okay. Now we're going to start. It's going to be 30 years before this is going to actually be able to happen. And, but they didn't expect American voters to vote for Trump, because I think if Hillary would have won, there's no doubt there wouldn't have been any
We'd
pandemic.
all be locked up. Many of us would be killed by now. And
Right.
I mean,
I think so.
look at her body count alone. So don't worry about, all of the policies that she would have put out with her New World Order buddies. She's a puppet. They were all puppets. He wasn't a puppet.
They hate us. They
Yes.
they just hate us. These elitists, they just think that, it would be a utopia, it'd be a beautiful world if we could just get rid of 1 billion people.
And the wrong thinkers are the billion people. The people they want to get rid of are the wrong thinkers. But the wrong thinkers have stopped them a couple of times in their tracks. I remember my early days of doing talk radio. I used to do morning show and a couple of other programs. Agenda 21 was actually, I forgot which other host. I think it was Glenn Beck who wrote about it at first, and I just started doing a lot more studying about that. It was something that the United Nations tried to slip past all of us, but then more people started discussing that. It became a form of, I'll say, underground discussion or social media discussion up until 2008. It got worse. When Donald Trump was elected, and it's no accident that the UN changed their agenda from Agenda 21 to Agenda 2030, they clearly acknowledged that the American people stood up and said, no, we're not letting you do this. They thought, well, instead of stopping and adhering to maybe, or saying, hey, these people might have a good idea, we're probably doing something wrong, let's regroup and let's think. No, they thought, you know what? Let's give them 4 years. We'll find a way to get those moneyed interests. And this is in Time Magazine, the moneyed interests to fortify the next election and bring our guys in.
It wasn't just Trump. And so to
resume,
I was actually, I think Brexit was another indicator that even the British were fed up. So Jenny, I don't know if I mentioned this our last interview. I was actually flown over by Warwick University in Coventry for a question time. And we had a question time. I was right next to Susan Evans on stage. She was a spokesman for Brexit. And we're sitting there, and I was asked a question directly with a very hostile student body, I might add, because they didn't like the idea of conservatives being commingled with their liberals. And I asked the question, did I think that, and this was September of 16, right before the US election. And I was given the question, do I think that the US is about to have a Brexit? I said, yeah, I think Donald Trump is going to be our version of Brexit. And I got booed on stage by all these students because, oh my goodness, how can you interfere with the direction of things going? But I think the British did partly lead the way with this. And I talked to a guy. There's a little shop in right across from Shakespeare's birthplace. What's that place? Something on I can't remember the name of the town, but it's where Shakespeare was born. And I was talking to this owner. And he said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm here for this Brexit discussion. He said, I want you to know that I'm a liberal and I was fed up and I voted for Brexit because I was fed up with the idea that we were being told to do things by faceless politicians in Belgium. And I could not stand for them. So I think the British have their own version of kind of waking up.
Many people did feel like that, to be honest. But what was also going on around here, and this is one of the reasons why I came onto this thing in the first place, was that we had a guy called Jeremy Corbyn. Did you ever hear about him?
Yeah, I know Jeremy.
All the time. All the time.
He was the opposition, and the press did everything they could to psychologically infiltrate the minds of people, making them think that he was anti-Semitic, which is their favorite word, racist, which is their favorite word, and had something, again, just like Trump, to do with Russia, even to the point of making him look like he's wearing a rusty hat and a backdrop that actually looks like Moscow. I kid you not. They were caught doing it and had to apologize. And this guy, just like Trump, got so many people, and Boris Johnson, just like Biden, would go away and hide in the basement because he couldn't actually speak about any policies, much in the way that Biden is, and so it's the very similar situation. Jeremy Corbyn should have won that, but the press, the press, which is the cabal's biggest tool, made sure that never happened. But I'm telling you now, the press are going down. If you look around CNN and all these Fox News and everything else, they don't have the same listeners as they have anymore. You've got people on all these different alternative sites and they're popping up like daisies, and it's a joy to watch. I told everybody 3 years ago they will be defunct within 5 years, and I was right.
I just saw Boris Johnson. I'm sure that Tony, Chris, you saw that interview as well with him. I think he was on NBC, but the anchor was trying to get him to say that the USA's democracy was really going into the toilet, and Boris was saying, absolutely not. You are the last beacon of hope. And for him to say that, and that really set the guy back, because he wanted Boris to say how, the United States was screwed. And, bottom line is that was his parting words, I feel. For me, I appreciated him saying that.
No, I heard about that. Was it recent? Yeah. Was it recent? I heard about it. Everyone was talking about it here. Yeah.
And because, the thing is that, here it's all doom and gloom. The United States. Everything. And let me tell you, look, so many of my friends are gay, but this, Pride Month and Black Lives Matter, and I will say myself, I will probably get huge amounts of hate mail, but with Black Lives Matter, with all the riots and the fear we were living in, when January 6th happened, I was cheering. I wanted these dumbass politicians that, like Kamala Harris, who was instigating on these talk shows that these riots should not stop, and there was a gleam in her eye. This gal is evil, and just, oh no, it's not going to stop, and it shouldn't stop. They shouldn't stop. And I went, how dare you? And so when they stormed that Capitol, I said, now you know the fear that we've been living in. Now you get a taste of it, and I was thrilled. I really, really was, and. You know what? I still am. I think that it scared them, but it also showed as far as they're concerned, they're much better than us. We can live with the riots and the home break-ins and the robberies on the street and people losing their businesses to these, rioters that just basically take anything they want now, even in Beverly Hills and all the. And they can just walk around with their, details and their, with their guns and all the people that protect them. And it's like, no, you can't do that. And I really am looking forward to the day. I really am, if it gets this bad. And again, Tony, thank you so much for your service. But especially for you, I feel for you because you put your life on the line many, many times for this country, obviously, as a colonel. But the thing is, But I'm just saying.
I did this for the way of life. I did this for the way of life we enjoyed. So, Sherry, one of the things I was going to say is that my favorite general I ever worked for was black. Bob Harding. I love him, but he was a great general. I didn't care about his skin color.
Right.
When I was growing up, I went to an international school, and we had people from all races. We were all treated together. When I went in the military, the same thing. I would fly back off missions. My one book, Last Line, is based on stuff I did in the Middle East, although it's based in Mexico. They don't like me talking what I actually did. Anyway, I used to fly off missions. I used to come back to Minneapolis. Minneapolis back in the 90s was a very cosmopolitan area. And I would go to a place called the Weird Cafe in Uptown, and I would sit with my lesbian friends and watch girls.
What's wrong with that?
Right. It was like we all like the same thing where you sit there and just drink, and have a great time. Nobody cared. Everybody got along. You go to Minneapolis now, it's a war zone. And it's all created by all of these folks who want to create all this hate and discontent behind the scenes. Right. Back in the, Prince had a great club, Glam Slam. You'd go out there, hang out, everybody got along. It was wonderful. And Prince would show up once in a while. I mean, I have great memories of the 90s. And everybody was trying to get along. And it seems to me that we've lost the bubble on that because, as Cherie said, and as you said, Jenny, we have these larger political forces out there trying to control everything we do.
They're trying to divide everybody and to cause conflict with each other.
Right.
And it's fucking working. Sorry, it's working. Sorry, sorry. It's working. It's working. It's been working for a while. I mean, look at the things with the jabs and the masks and everything else, and that psychological stuff that they do in the newspapers, which they control, and it's all about them. But when you see this, right? When you see this, Sherry, Chris, and Anthony, when you see this, at first it was the fear, but now that people, they were giving the fear to us. But look at it now. Look at it now. Look at the way they are scrambling to grab on to the last bit of power that they've got, because trust me, it is the last bit that they've got. Every time they try and do something in terms of war, they kick themselves in the feet. Look at the Putin thing where they try to mandate him. And what did he do? He called their bluff. Next thing you know, the dollar's gone down. Right. Come on. I mean, can you not see the world, the dark side crumbling around you? We're going to live in a great world at the moment. And the only people that are in fear now, the main people that are in fear now are them. Do you know how many, have you seen what's going on with all the celebrities selling their homes? The dark side celebrities I'm talking about, the ones that push the deep state agenda. The ones that were pushing it. Drinking ones I'm talking about here. Well, that's another thing to talk about. Adrenochrome. Have we got that on the list? I need to be talking about that.
We can add anything we want to the list, right?
No, trust me, I want to talk about that. I do.
Well,
and again, I just want to, because I touched on the Black Lives Matter. I mean, let me tell you, I've never seen an entire country and the world stand up against what happened to George Floyd. But then, of course, what was it? Hillary's favorite line: "Never let a
good crisis go to waste."
Go to waste.
Was that Saul Alinsky?
Did she steal it? She plagiarism.
Well, the thing is everybody came together. We were furious. But then they had to take it, and then they had to twist it, turn it.
It was twisted.
I mean, it was a bad cop. It was a terrible thing what he did. It was right on camera. Stupid, bad guy. Glad he's gone. But the thing is they ratcheted it up. And then let me tell you, I live in the San Fernando Valley, and all of a sudden, when the riots started here, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in the middle of the night, a big, huge buckets of rocks would be placed on Ventura Boulevard. And you wake up in the morning and where did these rocks? And it was all for Antifa and, Black Lives Matter. But the thing is what they ended up doing is that people that were never racist, I didn't even know what it really meant. But then all of a sudden, the more and more the smash and grabs, meant people killing each other on the streets. Then you start getting fearful, really. And I think it created racism. It really created racism that didn't exist before.
That's a fair point, because
but that was always the agenda. Who financed that?
Exactly.
You have to
George
talk about
Soros.
who financed exactly.
Well,
exactly. Let's talk about that goblin, shall we?
Yeah.
I mean, that guy has infiltrated many countries in order to be able to divide the people in the way that he has.
Well, not only that,
it's all falling on their faces.
Well, the man's made a career. The man's made a career and his fortune out of devaluing small countries' currencies and taking advantage of that. I mean, he's caused more problems than he claims to solve, and he's continuing to cause these problems. Yet the entire media and world order establishment are not only behind him; they're starting to parade him around a lot more often. If you saw him at the World Economic Forum, he held this one dinner and talked about the plans for the World Economic Forum and how great everything's going to turn out. This is a guy who was kind of in the shadows for so many years. Now he's in front a lot more. It's like they're not even hiding it.
When Trump
they can't hide it anymore because they've been exposed. The veil has come over and everybody's watching.
Now they're like, well, yeah, half the world believes it, so might as well go for that half, and the other half will just find a way to get rid of them.
Mhm.
All right.
Well, I think when Trump stood up at what you just said, I'm so sorry, my brain, a little bit of fog, but the climate accord, when he stood up, and I believe it was in Paris, and he turned around and said that we were not going to be involved. He pulled us, and that's when Soros stood up and said, "This man's got to go." And because Trump was stopping this one world government from happening, and that, that's what we know to be true.
So I think that leads to one of the things Chris had suggested we talk about, which is the Epstein client list, because I believe one of the things they had to do to be successful, not speaking as a spy, and I understand honeypots because we may have had to use that a time or two. If you can't get people to go along with you politically, you have to do something else. You have to intimidate them. And I think Epstein was made rich, billions rich, because he was the ultimate guy to intimidate, cajole, or otherwise compromise world leaders and business leaders of all forms to get them to go along with this. I think he was an instrument in their larger scheme, so that if you didn't believe like they did politically, if you can't go along with the philosophy, I'm going to put you in bed with a 14-year-old, get it on film, and say, if you ever screw up, I'm going to show this. I think that's why they won't show the client list.
We figured that was a good way to get into politics. So,
Well, we all know that he didn't kill himself. So, I mean, it's like, it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable what they try to sell us.
That's if, in fact, he's dead, because I actually don't believe he's dead, to be fair. I think it was a kill switch. I honestly do.
No.
I think he was a part of Mossad, and I think that she's definitely a part of Mossad. And how she's still alive, the only reason why she's still alive is because she has made a deal. They are quaking in their boots about that woman. She's under some serious security. If they could kill her, they would. But if they do, then they know that wherever she's put all the other stuff, she must have done this thing where she's gone, if I die, everybody goes under. And they're absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Do you know, I mean, one of the things that really makes me sick about this, and everybody's been, that this trial of Ghislaine's has been going on and on and on, and no one gets to see her in court. It's always caricature kind of stuff. Yet you get Rittenhouse and you see him up on front, and there's no caricatures of him. It's just it's an injustice. R. Kelly, who did that? R.
Kelly, 30 years. Yep, 30
he
years
gets
for him.
30 years. She gets 20 years for procuring young girls and opening the doors to rapists to pay. Pay. And where are the bloody rapists?
It's who facilitates who, and the fact is, the idea is to quell that question. People are we're trying to ask that question here at the on this program. And I know a lot of people are trying to do this, but the media is smokescreening the whole thing by pushing this whole January 6th agenda. They were waiting for people to slip up with the help of door-opening police officers. But
well, let me circle back to that, Chris, because I want to hit something that Cherie had said.
Right.
Cherie, remember you talked about the elections being fraudulent. So let me link the Epstein thing to the election. So when Epstein committed suicide, remember a guy named Bill Barr, the Attorney General?
Of course.
He was shocked. I can't believe that things were so bad. And he made this big statement about, I can't believe that the people were so, after I was personally trying to make it work. Well, so years later, I don't know if you followed some of the election. I don't know if you knew this. I was tasked as an investigator to investigate one of the major allegations of election fraud in 2016. And that was the Jesse Morgan pallet of ballots guy. Basically, Jesse Morgan was a U.S. Postal Service bulk mail driver. He personally observed a full truck, 53-foot truck of curated ballots moving from New York, from Bethpage, New York to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, 30 days before the election. These were completely in the trays, ready to count, 30 days. And we investigated this. I was in the middle of this. By the way, this is all public. I've gone on record on this. There's videos of this. Basically, he came forward and said, yes, I took all these ballots down to Lancaster. I don't know where they went, but they went somewhere. and I can document everything. I have all the receipts. Right after we went public, you want to know who called me and got me fired from the investigation, Sheree?
Who?
Bill Barr.
No.
He knew
Yes.
too much.
He's
Bill
a
Barr.
Roman.
So,
That guy is a
Sheree,
Roman.
I'm not completely serious. So I'm in the middle of this, and we're trying to get, Jesse whistleblower status to get him protection, get him a lawyer, and I get a call literally from Bill Barr. Hey, Tony, Bill Barr, what's going on? It's like,
Wow.
well, I explained to him what was going on. Then he started yelling at me saying, you are interfering with my investigation. And he went off on for a full 20 minutes talking about how I was interfering with a federal investigation and I was about to get in trouble.
Oh, you mean
Well, something weird went
non-investigation?
on. Yeah, something weird went on with Bill Barr because you know what?
That's my point.
Something changed with him.
That's my
Mhm.
point.
I don't know what happened. He got
Yeah.
threatened, but he turned on a dime. He turned on a dime.
Well,
Right.
but my point is, he was the one screaming about the Epstein murder. Maybe he didn't turn, maybe he just hit it really well during that entire time, because who in their right mind allows Epstein to commit suicide when you all know what he knows? And I think Barr knew what he knew. And I think Barr was the ultimate failsafe, that if things ever went too far that his guys couldn't take care of, he was the guy there to make sure it stopped.
It makes a lot of
I
sense.
think I personally have always thought Bill Barr was compromised, much in the way that Adam Schiff is.
Here's the
Adam
other
Schiff,
thing.
Shifty Schiff.
Here's the shit. Yeah,
Shifty shifts.
we know about that. But here's another thing about the 2020 elections. There was a lot going on, and Tony discussed some of that just now. But there was also a lot of legal cheating, if you will, manipulation of election rules by using the COVID situation to say, well, here you go. We can have people drop things off at ballot boxes. And instead of you having to apply for a ballot,
Absentee.
we'll send a ballot to you, which means a ballot can go to anybody. Now there were documented instances. There were documented instances of these ballots going to non-existent addresses, to people who don't live there certain places anymore. And that can leave room for anybody to collect them and stick them in the ballot. People can just knock on your door and say, "Oh, I'll take this for you," and bring it to the ballot box. And this is not a joke. This is what was bragged about in Time magazine shortly after the election. The moneyed interests who used the media, social media, big tech to manipulate what people were seeing, what people were hearing. The most blatant example is the Hunter Biden laptop.
Right.
But also, I mean, the early voting, and then of course it takes 10 days. I mean, we used to be able to, just like with Trump, we knew the day of the election, then the evening, who won. And the thing is now it goes on for weeks. I mean, it's just an absolute farce, the whole thing. And look what it got us. It got us Biden, and I guarantee you, what is it? What did you say? 86 million people voted for me, more than anyone in the. It's just, are you out of your mind? Nobody would go. We would see the 3 people that would go to his rallies. I mean, it's just a joke.
End of quote.
I mean, it's a joke.
End of quote. That's his famous quote now. We just want to bring up the teleprompter. There you go.
Yeah. Repeat line. Repeat line.
End of quote. Repeat line. Show me that I'm under pressure.
But yeah. No, but everything's coming back to bite them in the bum. I mean, you look at Kamala Harris, and you look at, and it's on these. It's Fox, mate. Is it Fox mainstream news where you are?
Fox News. Yeah, Fox. Yes,
but even they're talking about it now. Even they're turning the tables when they didn't used to. And if they're mainstream as well, then look how many other people that they're waking up to this guy's nonsense. I mean, even a child could see this guy's cognitive things going on with him.
Yeah, I mean,
was that like that 3 or 4 years ago? What are they doing bringing this guy on? Not unless you realize he's a puppet. Everyone knows he's a puppet.
Well, my mother passed away from Alzheimer's during the pandemic about 1.5 years ago. But it started in 2009 with her when we were shooting the Runaways movie, and we were going to meet Tatum O'Neill, who was playing my mother in the movie.
Wow.
And I called her in the morning. I said, Mom, I'm coming to get you at 11. And all of a sudden she's gone. I had to call the cops. They found, that's when the dementia start. How do you forget? My mother was looking so forward to it. So and it was a terrible, long, horrible disease. And I was warning people before the election. I said, he has a mental deficit. This man, it has either Alzheimer's, he's got some,
but it's visible to the world. I mean,
it is, but I would be absolutely screamed at like you wouldn't believe, saying, who the fuck do you think you are? And it's like, I know this so well. It runs in my family. I know the signs. And the thing is that this has been slow, but now it is just to the point. I mean, it's my mother. It's my mother. And but yet he's still in office, for crying out loud.
Well, here's something you bring up. Joe Biden. Was he was hidden during the election? The handlers made sure there were no gaps. But the big question is, and this is something that the left should really look at, is the Democrats made the statement that Joe Biden was actually the best they had to offer. You looked at the field; they were horrible. The next question goes to this: where is the left getting their leadership in the future? They're right now listening to Twitter stars. Oh, Obama's done. He's out.
No, but he's been.
I'm talking about on screen leadership. They're listening to Twitter stars like Cory Bush and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as their thought leaders right now. Going on to these short TikTok videos where look, what was Biden was trying to use TikTokers to push his message to 13-year-olds who watch them all the time. The point, I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, while the Republicans are trying to find some younger people to take over for their older guard, where are the Democrats finding this talent?
Well, let me just make one comment before.
Talent? Is that what you call it? Okay.
Going back to what Cherie had said regarding the Biden issue. One of the things I find most troubling is the people who work for Biden not doing anything. So I know Lloyd Austin. I know the SecDef. I worked for him when he was a brigadier general. And the Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, is not that brigadier general I worked for. Something happened to him. And I'm not saying this because he's black. I'm saying this because I've had experience with the man. There's something wrong. Mark Milley. I know Mark Milley. He was my guy when I was on the Trump transition team. I had to work with him when we was the Army Chief of Staff. He and I have been at each other on TV because of the Bergdahl thing. But he then, while I've had differences with him, the fact that he's not doing his job to call out what is obviously a president who is compromised to the point he cannot make solid national security decisions, that he's not saying anything, speaks volumes of the lack of leadership and people willing to go along. So I think, the fact that you have people who are supposed to be completely unbiased, willing to go along with the lie, the current lie, that everybody pretends there's nothing wrong with Joe Biden, that is dangerous. And this tells me that they're loyal to this party over reality.
Well, I think they had to have been threatened. There's no doubt in my mind.
I was going to say that, Cherie. I agree.
They had to be, because the thing is that
you
these elitists, the ones that really rule, the true elitists, they just turned around and said, listen, that's what, when all the Haitians were coming over the border, no vaccines, they weren't forced to get a vaccination. They were given phones, they were given money, they were given plane tickets. And it's like, why are you not vaccinating if you're trying to force all of us to get vaccinated? They were letting these, and I believe this might be so out there, but it seems like the only truth is that they said, listen, America is going to be gone. We're going to protect you, or you can have your lavish lifestyle, whatever it is. You're going to be one of the elitists. Either you follow this or you're deid. Bottom line.
There you go.
It has to be that way.
They're compromised.
Right.
They definitely are.
But then I guess the next point then is let me get back to Crystal's question. So is it going to be Gavin Newsom? Is it going to be AOC?
Hell
Who's going to be the next wave of leaders? Because I think Newsom wants to be the next guy who becomes the Mario Cuomo of the left, so to speak.
Do you live in Los Angeles? In California?
I live in North Carolina. I live right across.
All
from an
right.
active
Well, I
farm.
live in California, so I live under this creep, this horrendous. I mean, this is now he's an elitist, and I mean he's Nancy Pelosi's nephew. I mean, California is run by the Newsoms, by Pelosi, by Getty, and by Brown. Jerry Brown, the Brown family. Those are the four families that run California. And I actually watched him on Alan Carolla last night, an old interview that he did with Gavin Newsom before he was governor. And the thing is he was lying his ass off, saying that he came from his mother, when they divorced, his mother had to raise him. And this guy, his father was the lawyer for Getty, for the Getty family. I mean, we're talking elite, Ivy League, everything, upper echelon elites. And he was trying to sell himself as a kid that grew up with basically nothing. He's a liar. He's a cheat. And he is, and you know the craziest part about Gavin Newsom? If you watch him lately, he acts just like Obama. He talks like him. The mannerisms are the same. It's just all it is the skin color is different. It's like I'm watching a clone of Obama with all of his speeches. And it's just the fact that he would even take his own personal money and attack, governor of Ron DeSantis, who I
Florida.
wish would run.
I thought that was.
I wish he would run. He's so
I do
amazing.
like DeSantis. He's a good guy, isn't he?
Well,
You know,
We're going to be
is.
hopefully doing something with him later this year. Ron DeSantis, that is.
you
God,
bring up an interesting
because people
point.
love him, they love him because he's just doing the right thing. No wonder he's got.
That's all he's trying to do,
But
right?
for him to actually take $100,000 out of his pocket and make a commercial against Ron DeSantis and ask people in Florida, come to California. There's free speech here. There's freedom. It's like, are you kidding me? You lying son of a bitch.
But they all know that, though.
The
There's
symbol-
$100,000 laying around just to spend on a commercial like that. How do you get $100,000 just to throw up? I'm just like,
It's his wineries, and I mean, he's an elitist. He owns California. He Pelosi, Brown, and Getty. They own California.
The best symbol of his leadership is that photo of the woman who had a diner, and I forgot her name. Forgive me, because it was a big deal to me. It was during COVID. This woman had a diner.
I remember it.
And she wasn't allowed to open up a restaurant, but she's right next to this big Hollywood studio that was allowed to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
And that's the symbol,
That's
in my
an
opinion,
insult.
of Gavin.
That's an insult to all the people.
Right. That's right.
Right.
But they don't care. They insult the people because we are deplorable to them. We're useless to them unless we push their agenda, or we push their groupthink on social media. We're useless to them, and we're undesirable. And we have to buy an electric car because they're making us.
Very, very true. And the fact that they shut down, they destroyed more lives with this shutdown. I mean, just where all the big corporations, the Walmarts, all they could stay open, Costco, but the small mom and pop businesses all were forced to shut down.
Right.
And that is part of the New World Order. That is Agenda 21, making them reliant on the government to feed themselves, to clothe themselves now.
Right.
I mean, people that had wonderful lives, they were proud of themselves, and the government came in and they took it from them.
They tore it away from them.
Two of the biggest companies.
This was the largest single period of transition of wealth from the middle class to the rich.
Right.
If you look back and just look at that, at the 2-year period, this was the largest transfer of wealth, the draining of the middle class. And it was all planned, to your point. It was all planned.
I would warn, I just will say this one last thing. I would warn right when they shut everything down. I said, what it felt like to me is that we were sitting on the train tracks with a big boom box, enjoying lunch. And we have that turned up full blast, and there's a train coming, and nobody's looking because the train is coming. And the thing is the train is here. I mean, people that thought this was only going to last a few weeks, it lasted years.
Right.
And now the homeless, the incredible amount of homeless people that literally lost everything, that had really good lives, I mean, and now they're going to shut us down again here in Los Angeles at the end of this week.
companies which did extremely well during the COVID period included Amazon and Alibaba. The latter, their president was the one who was standing in front of the World Economic Forum talking about their technology to instill a tracking device for our carbon footprints.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Personal
Okay.
carbon
Right.
footprint.
That's right. So that's something that, I mean, all these people got extra money, and look what some of them are trying to do with it. And yes, Tesla did pretty well too. But as soon as Elon Musk steps out of line,
Mm-hmm.
then
Go
look
after
what
him.
happens. Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's go back to this carbon footprint thing. So, to Chris's point, and again, I'm actually considered an expert because I have a degree. And yet every time I try to speak up and speak the truth using the facts, I am somehow, oh, your degree's from 1986. Like, yeah, well, that's old information. It's like, no, it's not. Facts don't age. Facts are facts. And I'm serious. It's like, oh yeah, well, that's an outdated degree. It's like, no, it's an environmental studies degree. Sorry, But and this is the thing that to that point, to Chris's point, is that they will do anything they can to protect whatever it is. And the energy thing is not it's all about control. So if you give this Alibaba guy, what's his name, Chris? What's that guy's name? I don't know his name. I don't care. Anyway, point is, they're trying to put this on you. They're trying to say to you and me, all of us here, you can't be trusted to know what's best, and therefore we need to give you an app on your phone so that every little thing you do, we can record, and we'll tell you how to be a better citizen.
But John Kerry says his
just like
type,
in China, just like
exactly.
In China.
but
Yeah,
when pressed upon why they use private jets and go everywhere they want with whatever
That's what I
energy
was
they want to
saying to you
expend,
before.
yeah, John Kerry says we are special. And yes, he said that.
Well, he did actually say that.
Yeah.
Did he actually say that, Chris?
Yeah, well, look at Lori Lightfoot, who is the mayor
Oh,
of
man.
Chicago. Who,
And
let
again-
me tell you, she's Beetlejuice come to
No, I was
life.
going to say the same. I
Oh,
was going to say
I-
exactly the same.
we're gonna get in trouble.
She had to go and get her hair cut when none of us, I mean, I had roots this long, none of us could go out, but she got caught getting her hair cut, going to a salon. They
Well,
go,
that
well,
was a
I need
wasted
to look
effort.
good
That was
because
a
I'm
wasted effort. I don't know why she made the effort. Just
No,
I know,
Pelosi-
at least,
Oh, my
I mean,
goodness,
she's bad.
buy some makeup for
Just
crying
saying.
out loud. I mean,
Ooh.
try to do something. But the thing is that it's like, well, that, I don't know how much that haircut cost you, but it was a waste. But the
They
thing
saw you
is that,
coming. They saw you coming.
Oh man.
I mean,
Ugh.
bottom line is that, do as I say, not as I do. And even with the Newsom and the French Laundry. And I mean, everybody is sitting at home. We can't see I couldn't see my mother who was dying.
Right.
I wasn't allowed to leave. Our family, she died alone. And this guy's
I'm
out
so
at
sorry
the
to hear
French.
that.
That's
I'm
okay.
so
It's
sorry.
all right. I was glad that it was finally over for her. And here he's having a big lavish dinner with all these people that don't have masks. And he's in the worst part about Gavin Newsom. And this is when I knew he was a liar, because I was watching the news and he came on. It was an alert when they were getting ready to shut everything down. And he said, one of the people at your dinner table that you sit at tonight will be gone this time next year, will be gone. And I did that. When he said that, I went, how dare you? Now I knew he was lying. Because I mean, who knows that? He's saying we're all going to lose someone so close to us, and that's just a fact. That guy should be impeached. I mean, some of the things that he said and the fear that he put into people. Then he went out to dinner at the French Laundry after he told us all that we were going to lose someone we loved. And guess what? I didn't lose a single soul, you mother effer. Not one. You piece of I mean, I loathe this man because I knew then. I knew then that he was
But the
lying.
thing is, Cherie, it wasn't only in America. They did exactly the same in England. They had a massive party when people couldn't even say goodbye to their mothers and their family who were dying. They weren't even allowed to touch them. And they were there drinking up, having parties and having stuff. It was a massive thing over here. He almost got, I suppose what we call it is impeached, but he almost got suspended and then gone, basically.
And who was that?
Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson and his millions.
I think he's out now, though.
Talk about a guy who needs a haircut.
He's out, but there's something
I
going
liked
on.
him. I liked
Boris
him. I liked
Johnson.
Boris. I did.
No, Cherie, you like that one bit. Trust me. I live here. You wouldn't like him.
No.
No, definitely not. But I don't know if he's a white hat or if you believe in that kind of stuff. But some things he does, and it really kind of it really wrecks the rest of the conservatives' views. And
Wow.
and they made some trumped up little reason why they were going to leave. You have to understand, the FBI has never been known to come into the Houses of Parliament ever. They swarmed it apparently, and the next thing you know, everybody's leaving. They're dropping like flies. What is going on behind the scenes there? Something bigger than just Boris Johnson's best friend having a sexual what's his names with young people. That's bad enough as it is, I have to say, but that's not the excuse. I think they're going down. They know it. They know it, and they're all jumping ship. That's what I'm thinking.
We still have to keep pushing that, though.
It's interesting that you had which royal was the one who's all kind of on the outs? Prince, what's his name?
Andrew.
Oh, Andrew.
Yeah.
Well, he was in the Ghislaine Maxwell thing, and that's one of the big because she's an English socialite. She's a UK socialite, and she has so much information on the royals that nothing can happen to her. Nothing, because it will be forever. It will never be forgotten. But but Andrew had tried to stop people talking about it, and this is how arrogant the royal family are.
Right.
And he's turned around and said she had a massive occasion. It was the Jubilee. You don't get that many Jubilees, in royalty. And let's face it, she's dying. She is actually dying, and she'll be gone within the next few weeks. I guarantee it. Anyway, it was one of the biggest, pomp and circumstance. And the Queen did, if you understand the royal family, they do things in symbols. So it was symbolic for her to have Andrew standing next to her while the whole of the UK is watching, right? And that was an insult to all the people he flipping well raped.
Right.
So you as the Queen are saying, oh yeah, that's okay. No, it's not bloody okay. And everybody saw it. So she had inadvertently lost a few more fans there, because people don't like paedophilia here in this country, right? I'd imagine they don't like it in any country.
No.
Definitely here. Definitely, they don't like that shit. And then, and they don't like it, right? And so then it became so apparent with the people that we're not taking this. We're not taking this. He had to then go in the background. He had to go then in the background and then Prince Charles and everybody else came out and said, look, we don't, we can't, this is ruining the monarchy. It is ruining the monarchy. So he had to take a back seat. He wasn't allowed at any events, any big events. That is a big symbol. The fact that he's not allowed there anymore. So he had to take a back seat.
Can I ask the three of you a question, which is really troubling me? Of course, I'm a mom. My son's going to be 32 now, but it still feels like he's young to me. We've got this, like, one gal in New York that who's a teacher, and she owns a sex shop, and she has opened it up to from 9-year-olds to 13-year-olds. And then from 13-year-olds to 18-year-olds, but the 9 to 13, she wants to teach them how to pleasure themselves and others. We're talking about 9-year-old children. I mean, we can remember growing up. I mean, we didn't.
If you'd done that when we were growing up, Cherie, you'd been arrested.
Yeah, they were.
And they should be arrested, because this is pedophilia.
We had those kids in my school district. We had those teachers in my school district, one or two. One was a doctor who subsequently, by the way, got arrested in Germany for the same thing. And those people were thrown in jail. Those people.
Yeah,
it's pedophilia.
Nowadays it's like, no, we're expressing our freedom. We're trying. Children are sexual beings.
This is not about Cherie. This is not about the kids. Cherie, this is not about.
I know that. Yeah, that's.
This is about that person. That's what that person wants, and that person wanting to teach it is going to be the beneficiary of all that. That's what that person.
But it's not just her. It's not just her, Tony. I mean, it is rampant out here. It's in all the states. I mean, this is what they're doing in the school system, and they want to start teaching little babies. I mean, and I'm sorry, look, I mean, I don't care if you're gay, straight, but to
So get
start
this.
trying
So I'm in North Carolina, and this is a pretty rural, conservative. I'm in a place called Edenton. So the school here is small. My son is 15. He goes to high school. Even here in a rural community, the teachers are trying to push the idea that maybe everybody's gay. Hey, are you
No.
gay? Do you? It's like,
Really?
I'm serious. Like, and he complains about it. It's like, look, I know I'm not gay. I know I like girls. I'm getting fed up with teachers trying to convince me that being gay is the in thing.
Well, okay, so my real question here is, because they're pushing it, and I mean, like I said, you know, Pride Month, and it used to be Pride Day or Pride Weekend. Now it was Pride Month. What are they covering up here? Because
Yeah,
first of all,
I'm
it's
with you.
sick. It's sick. I mean, literally sick in the head to want to teach a 9-year-old who basically is playing with Barbies or, you know, GI Joes, whatever, and try to instill in them. And a lot of gay men want to be teaching these classes to kindergartners. They want to share what he and his boyfriend did over the weekend. It's like, shut the F up, man. If you were if my son had a teacher like you and I would have a go. UMF, we would have a go. But
This
so
is
what are
government-
they trying to cover up? What are they covering up by focusing so much on this?
It's
No, it's not
government
that they're
sponsored.
covering up.
It's government sponsored grooming of children, sexual grooming of children, whether
Right,
it be
no.
to be abused or whether it be to fulfill an agenda politically.
And the agenda is satanic. That's what the agenda is. It's always
Is
been
what?
that way. It's satanic. It's the satanic rituals. If you look at the Olympics, however far back, I can't remember how it was, you already saw COVID before COVID happened. Did you see the nurses and the doctors and the vaccines and everything and all the pomp and circumstance? They've got to show what they're going to do before it happens. It's the satanic agenda. Look at Madonna, look at Lady Gaga, look at Beyonce. They all wear the Baphomet. It's all part of the satanic agenda. Everybody of prominence that dies, they die on a date that is akin to the satanic ritual. That's what it's all about. And basically what they're trying to do is, with the vaccines, what's the vaccine called? It's called Luciferis. That's the name of the vaccine. What's the patent on the vaccine? 060606. What does that say to you? I mean, it's all satanic. Every symbolism will be their downfall. I know a heck of a lot about this, and this is what they're doing. And now they're after our children. And they're after our children because the adults, they can get rid of. The children, they want to use. They want to use as slaves for their satanic agenda.
And that's what I was saying about all the Haitians that were allowed in. And it was like they were invited. And it was far too complicated how they got in, where they went, everything without being vaccinated. And immediately I thought, well, these are going to be the slaves for the elites. That's what I think. It's got to be, and that's why they're not being vaccinated, because there's no reason.
Permanent underclass. What they want. This replacement theory, people misinterpret. It's like, it's not a replacement theory. It's a permanent group of individuals who are basically subordinated and owing allegiance to a political party. That is the Democrat Party. And so they do this. They bring these people in who will either be resources or soldiers to their cause, and that's why they do it. And
Thank you. That's exactly what I feel when I was, because it makes no sense otherwise. It makes no sense to force our military, our police officers, everybody to get this horrendous vaccine that hasn't even had a trial, and let everybody in and not be vaccinated.
On that point, within the last few days, the Secretary of Defense, on his own initiative, removed 13% of the U.S. military out of ability to fight using COVID as the justification. Basically, about 13% of the Guard and the National Guard and Reserves refused to take the shot. Therefore, they became ineligible for federal service as of 2 days ago. 13% of the military.
But at least they're being trained to use the right pronouns.
That's right.
Well,
And
you know
wear
what
high
I
heels.
think is I think that this is
Don't
going to
even
come back
go
to bite
there.
them. This is going to bite them in the ass because bottom line is these men that have worked in the military for, decades, some of them, now they have a vendetta against the government. And they'll stand beside the civilians. They took an oath as
Right.
well.
That's a good one. That's a
They
good
took
one,
an
Sheree.
oath,
That's a good one.
and they'll be standing with us and fighting in the streets against the people that took everything away from them. So the thing is these people are so sure of themselves that this is going to work out in their favor, and they shoot themselves in the foot every single time they do something that is so outlandish. And to force people, and then, when they were saying, about I said, well, whatever happened to my body, my choice? Oh, well, you're doing this for me. You're not doing this for you. You're doing this for grandma down the street or somebody you might be passing in a supermarket. You're not doing it for you. Have a heart. Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. People get the flu shot because they don't want to get the flu. I've had COVID. I don't need the shot. Then you have to do it for everyone. But as soon as the abortion thing comes in Roe versus Wade, and again, Roe never would have been overturned had the left not taken it so far where they're literally pulling babies apart. Literally. To get them at, and that's the thing is they don't ever have a cap. They'll take it as far as they can take it until then we have to stand up. I was so thrilled when that was overturned. It was a bad law that allowed bad people to do bad things and harvest.
And also, again, that was based on a lie. That was also
exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. It was, she wasn't raped. Right,
yeah.
exactly.
But Sheree, she admitted it. She actually admitted that.
Well,
I know.
Not only that, the whole argument was flimsy when it came to the constitutional aspect of it, because the 14th Amendment, they were using a very small portion of the 14th Amendment to justify the Roe versus Wade decision, when in fact the truth is that the justices and the political elites at that time kind of bowed under pressure a little bit, or maybe wanted to gain a little bit more popularity as the decade went on. It was a rough time, I suppose. Having said that, it was a blatant violation of the Constitution's 10th Amendment, and the politicians were afraid for the next 4 or 5 decades to even approach it. Now somebody just made the argument: the Supreme Court, its hand was forced, because if you have more constitutionalists in there, they're going to have to abide by that particular document and say, wait a minute here, this is a violation. We have to overturn that bad decision from the past.
Right.
And there you've got Biden turning around and saying that nothing in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights is absolute.
Right, exactly. No right is absolute.
All I know is he's absolutely out of his effing mind, this old fart. I cannot, he's and even what Jenny is saying, as far as these pedophiles, I believe Joe Biden is a pedophile. I think that there's his family.
Sherry, you don't even understand.
I've seen the cabal stuff. Trust me, I've watched it all.
My goodness me, it's so disgusting. It's so disgusting, and I can't believe that no one's actually. 2 years ago, somebody from China. It's some group in China that were against the CCP, or was it CPP? No, CCP. They put this thing up on YouTube, and I couldn't believe it. And my friend was saying, "Jenny, have you seen this?" And he emailed it to me, and I couldn't believe it was on Hunter Biden's laptop. I just couldn't.
I
couldn't believe
incredible.
it.
The Taiwanese did that.
Okay, is that
so get this. So I don't know if you all knew this. I still do operations. One of the people who brought a copy of the Hunter Biden hard drive to the FBI from JP Mack. I know JP Mack. I've spoken to him. His uncle, Colonel Ron Scott, a Air Force Academy graduate, one of my colleagues. We worked on black counter-nuclear operations back about 15 years ago. Colonel Ron Scott took a copy of the Hunter Biden hard drive from JP, gave it to the FBI, and it was not seen for 8 months. 8 months. So then, get this. So then I'm a professional intelligence officer. I try to get a copy and take it over to a 3-letter agency. The 3-letter agency guys say, we want it, but our leadership won't let us take it. One of the intelligence community agencies wanted a copy, and their leadership wouldn't let them take it. Think about that. And then Then when I went public and said, oh, this is real, I was drowned out because you had all these liberal professor, what was it, list of 53 to include Jim Clapper, who's a complete moron. I'm just saying on the record because I know Jim.
Oh, they all
Said, oh, no, this is Russian disinformation. No, it's not. I've seen it. I know what's on there. This is legit. And so we who are rational, trying to deal with people we knew were telling the truth, were completely ignored because it was an agenda item by the cabal, because I think it is a cabal, to completely drown out any rational thought of actually looking at this for what it was, which was, Jenny, I think those videos, I didn't see them all, but I think they were probably true.
I saw them. I saw the videos.
I kind of think they're, I will tell you this, never trust people who are compromised by the Chinese Communist Party who tell you everything that you bring up to them is Russian disinformation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which by the way, I wanted to say something like back with the army and the soldiers. You know, I think that there's been, I could be wrong about this, but with Biden's cozying with the Chinese, I think that the whole vaccine thing with the army is to weaken them.
Oh, I think it's true.
Sure.
It's possible.
Honestly, I think it's to weaken them. I mean, if you look at the army, they're very fit guys, you know, and they do their training and everything else. And anybody that takes that vaccine and does exercise and everything else, half of them get myocarditis.
They drop dead. Some of them drop dead right on the playing field.
There you go. I mean, so you've got the neurological problems, you've got your myocarditis, and you've got the other things that go with it when they just automatically just drop like flies anyway. You're weakening a really kind of strong army, and to get them ready for infiltration of the Chinese. That, I think, was always their agenda. But I could be wrong. When
did we start trusting government? I mean, that's my question. When did we start trusting government? I mean, government was always to be kept small. Yes, we have pay our taxes. So you keep the streets, drivable. Our police officers, God bless them, our fire department. But what the hell? I mean, it's just.
There is, and again, this goes back to your permanent underclass argument. Part of this is you also need a class of, or you need to manipulate the populace to think that they're safe because of the government, to think that the government will protect them, and with everything else, they'll control your health care. And look, I understand people need health care, and we all should find a way to have some. And the system is really broken. I get that, but for the government to control all these aspects of your life, that brings in a class of not a class of people, but a large group of a population that says, well, you know what? Without the government, we wouldn't have this, or this. We should trust them.
Well, it's ridiculous. And even my older sister, Sandra, who is a lefty, she claims to be a centralist, but she's not. She's a far left, and she's lost more money since Biden. When I asked her, because she hated Trump, and I said, well, have you looked at your stocks lately, you and your husband? And she goes, I don't care about that. Well, she cares now. Because she's lost.
When it starts affecting them, they care. That's good.
My sister is an actress, and she, isn't very happy about, the state of Hollywood, as she shouldn't, because she's an older gal. And, there's very little work for older gals if you're white. But the thing is that in the end, she said that she was really afraid of these people. Now they're saying that we can conceal carry, which I would be thrilled to do. I don't care that the government tells me I can't bring my 22 with hollow points, by the way, that turns it more into like a 38. But if I'm hiking,
I got my concealed carry right here, so I know.
Well, I've got a Magnum snub nose 357. And I've got a Moss.
That's over my head, guys. We don't have guns here.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sorry for you for that. But I've got a Moss shotgun that holds 8 rounds with the pump action, kaboom, But the thing is she said that she was worried that people would have, concealed carry. I said, Sandy, I would feel so much safer if civilians, good people, law-abiding citizens could have guns, because that would stop these corrupt thieves from trying to take that Rolex, or because they'd be afraid, because they're all cowards, by the way. And bottom line is, I said, Sandy, it's so bizarre that we are on completely different sides of the spectrum, my sister and I. And she's my half sister. And that's probably why. My dad was a Marine, gunny sergeant in the Marine Corps, and who is not her father. But the thing is that the Curry blood that runs through my veins and my twin sister and my younger brother is all conservative. We're conservatives. We were born this way. And again, I find it a gift. I think we are so gifted to see these things.
There we go.
So I think, my experience, I've kind of been, but I've always been tolerant. I believe in that everybody should be treated the same. I think all the principles I was brought up with are just simply the right ones. We should all treat each other with respect and kindness. We should respect women and what they do. We should respect life. We should not force people to do something against their will. These are all good things. And somehow we're the crazy ones now, which is like, I don't understand it.
Oh, well, I'm
and bringing
crazy.
race into it and everything being about race, which I never even thought of before.
But wait, that's a form of intimidation. But that's a form of social intimidation.
Exactly.
That's why the government loves social media and these bots on Twitter, because somebody says something and all of a sudden the army of bots or the army of people who are just on Twitter for some reason every
for those
moment
of us
of their
who are still on
lives.
Twitter, some of us
Yeah,
aren't.
that's right. Yeah. Well, those people got to Tony, as we know.
Well, they've got Andy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're off
Nancy.
Twitter too, Jenny.
Me
That's right.
too.
Not twice. I never went back. But the good thing about all this is, so Elon Musk, whether he's white, black, who cares? Didn't I say to you, Anthony and Chris, the last time, that was a sting operation? I was right, was I not? When I turned around and said, this guy never had any intention of getting Twitter, buying Twitter. He had every intention of it being a sting operation to expose the bots on that.
Well, he did do that. He exposed them.
And he's done it.
Either way, that's what happened. That is exactly what happened. I have a question for you, Jenny, and this is, we brought up Boris Johnson. He's out now. I know there's going to be a process.
Not actually.
Oh, I think he's going to be a process.
He's still in the equation. He said he's got it out.
Oh, okay. So he still can come back. You see, I was kind of hoping. I know it was never going to happen, and he already bowed out of this, by the way. So for anybody who thinks I'm actually serious about this, I'm only half serious, because I wanted to see the entire world of leftists triggered as much as when Trump was elected and Borsellino was elected.
Right.
I want to see them just lose it if Jacob Rees-Mogg was given the job of Prime Minister. That would have been awesome.
Cherie, do you know who he is? It's like, but the new one coming in, and all the truthers, they all know, and we already knew that Rishi Sunak, whatever his face is, we already knew that he wanted to come in, and that was his big thing. And the second he was one of the first ones to jump ship, and you knew he was working his way back into worming in. So when they all defunct, everybody in England was like, yeah, good riddance and everything else. Now Rishi's trying to move himself back in again. But we found out that they had a website up in 2014 or 2015 that they created, saying Rishi for Prime Minister. This was done in 2015. 50, is it 50? Yeah, something like that. And so it was always the plan that this guy comes in and takes over, and takes over Boris. It's all, we're watching a bloody movie. Wow. Yeah. They've planned every single moment of this. No one wants him. Nobody wants the guy. And I wager that something incredible is about to happen globally to all the governments, where they all collapse and the people start looking after themselves within the communities. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, listen, now, does any one of you live in New York?
Yeah, that's me, unfortunately.
Okay, so then did you see that commercial of that gal who just was talking about what you should do in case of a nuclear attack?
Yeah, I saw that.
And, make sure to take, first of all, it was so ridiculous because, of course, if there's a nuclear attack, there is no electricity. Therefore, there is no water to wash your clothes right away. That was the first thing that came to my mind. If there's a nuclear attack, that you need electricity to have water. And so it's like, please go into shut the door, shut the windows, remove your clothes, wash them, get in a shower, clean. It's like, well, there will not be a shower, you dumbass.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, you guys.
They need to go back and watch the next day, or was it the day after?
Oh, the day after, yes.
Yeah, the day after. Yeah,
I was close friends with Bud McFarlane. God rest his soul. Bud told me about President Reagan seeing that, saying, "We need to end this. We've got to stop this. This is a train we can't stay on. We got to stop the idea of being able to." And so Reagan personally said, "We can't fight and win a nuclear war. We got to stop this."
Mm-hmm.
Now they want to bring it back, like, "Oh, we can win a war." It's like, you're not going to win a nuclear war. People die.
I mean, and the fact that this whole thing with Ukraine, which, of course, we all, the night that they invaded, Russia invaded the Ukraine was actually a night my son was doing a show, and I saw it come across my phone. And of course, we were thinking these terrible things but I mean, the Ukraine is very corrupt, and Biden and Hunter,
equally corrupt.
Yeah,
I remember when Zelensky was elected, the entire left-wing media conglomerate was like, this guy is harboring Nazis. There's the Nazi groups that support him in Ukraine, so he's a Nazi, and he's just like Trump because they're TV stars that became president. That means they're similar and they act exactly alike, I guess. But that it's about. Again, it's about control. It's about what their order is going to be like, and it's about how many people they can manipulate at the same time.
So that commercial, though, commercial in New York, they're telling people what they need to do. Why would they do that? Basically, they're saying, and they're talking like they're talking to kindergarten students.
Right.
What they need to do. This isn't funny anymore. These people are sick. To put that kind of fear as if we haven't been through enough. Now, nuclear war, they're pushing the envelope so far that, we're really at a breaking point. A lot of people, as you would think, Tony, being, in the military and being in the government, that people can only take so much before they absolutely lose it. Right. And I just don't know how much, because people are not enlightened like us. We can see what they're doing. A lot of people believe that their lives are going to end tomorrow, or and they.
But Sherry, why do they believe that? Because of the press. The press is a major part of all this situation. Well, let's go back to the Ukraine. When they started talking about, because the Ukraine's nearer to us, I think it's to you guys. When they started talking about Ukraine. And the Russians coming in to do whatever they had to do. Russia had to do what it had to do in order to be able to bomb the bio labs that were about to kill the world flat. They were about to do this this COVID thing again, but on a much larger scale. And it's westernized by the dark folk in America.
What was that biolab doing in the Ukraine? It's
no, it's not only in the Ukraine.
Let me hit a little bit that. So Victoria Nuland, who was a very senior cabal person, she's part of the she's part of the Clinton-Obama cabal, was caught off guard during questioning regarding Ukraine by a Republican senator who said, basically, are there labs that we fund in Ukraine? Mm-hmm. And she basically had to there are. And there are. Mm-hmm. So, and that's one of the things the Russians have said that they're after. And I based on my understanding of what was invested in, the United States spent all sorts of money investing in weapons quality, biological warfare research, because we can't do it here in the United States. Can't do it in England. So let's go to Ukraine because they're corrupt. They'll take the money, and we can do all these nefarious things there without any sort of oversight. That's what Nuland basically admitted to.
It's their headquarters. It's actually their headquarters. And one of the reasons why Biden is trying to get, 180 billion pounds from the American taxpayers to give to the Ukrainians is because he is compromised. He's compromised by all this. And he has to find a way in order to be able to fund this. And this is why he's stealing from you guys to give it to the Ukrainians. Why is he taking money out of his own country when the people really need the money themselves?
He just used our oil reserve and sold it to China and India. And yeah, in
There
India
you go.
too. I
There
Yep.
you go.
So,
Absolutely.
think about
So now what are we going to do? I mean, it's just, yeah.
think about
But he's
what we could
America
do.
last, isn't he? He's America last.
Think-
Never
oh,
been
yeah.
America first.
Think about what we could do for inner cities with $40 billion. Think about it.
Okay, but hold on
Yeah.
there, Tony. Now, that would mean something would be done, and politicians can't campaign on the idea that they'll do something for the inner cities.
Yeah,
I'm
and
a big
like the
believer-
wall too, that the
Yeah.
southern border wall,
Right.
that was too much money, but yet Pelosi will gladly send another several billion to the Ukraine every other day, it seems at this point.
So
Right.
there's a hypocrisy. There's a
Oh, yeah.
hypocrisy. But the thing is, Sherry, people observe that. And because it's
Yeah.
affecting their lives now, they're waking up. And I'm telling you something now. When they start doing these mandates in all did you say they were doing one in where you are right now?
Well, they're making us mask up starting this
Yeah, well,
weekend,
well, they won't
and
be
then,
doing it
then
to all the
it'll be
Americans.
something else.
Oh,
It's coming back.
Because,
Yep.
No, they're going to fight back because that's killed an awful lot of children. This mask stuff and all the graphene oxide in it and all that kind of bullshit that's in that stuff. They are going to fight back.
Thank you for being with us on this edition of Thought to Action, presented by the Herb London Center for Policy Research. Please remember to hit that like button. Feel free to comment on our discussion. We appreciate your thoughts. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our Thought to Action channel and pound the big red bell for updates on future shows. If you're on Rumble, hit the other subscribe button. Find out more about the London Center on our website, londoncenter.org. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/thought to action. Check out our merch store, the London Center for Policy Research /Thought to Action merch store. That's our Teespring store. Link is in description. For our panel and the Herb London Center for Policy Research, I'm Chris Cordani. We're going to be doing this again very soon, so stay tuned. Thank you, stay informed, and make your day a great one.